And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com, www.galacticfriedchicken.com for everything Galactic. Go to the website. They will deliver right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, or head down to Dayton, Kentucky, Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. All right, Aaron, let's get the show on the road while I'm still awake. It was a long weekend in Owensboro. A successful weekend for the Apex 13 Gray team. They finished third in the tournament. Knocked off the they lost one game in pool play on Saturday, but then beat that team in the third place game in straight sets today. So got a little revenge. They lost to a team in the semifinals that was a little bit better. Sometimes that happens.
Well, so we had a 10-year-old who was finally able to play sports after having surgery a couple weeks ago on tonsils, adenoids, and tubes, and all of that fun stuff. So he was able to get back with his 10U team this weekend and had a couple hits. And then we had a 13-year-old here who struck out 13 of 15 outs tonight in his game. And those their second win of the season. It's been a rough road, but we'll take it.
Yeah. Pretty busy weekend in Bearcat land. So let's get right to all of the details. We'll start with baseball with a series win in Orlando over the University of Central Florida, and Cincinnati hanging around right in the middle of the pack in the Big 12. They are 11-10 in Big 12 play, 25-19 overall. Pretty dominant at home, really. They are 15-5 at home. So they had struggled on the road. Good to see them, maybe find themselves a little on the road against a UCF team that I think was in the top 25 in RPI coming into this game. So a pretty impressive showing for Jordan Bishel and his team this weekend. And look, man, like if you want to talk about who has had the most success making the jump to the Big 12, I think John Cunningham's starting to look real smart with this Jordan Bishel hire, because this guy seems to have whatever it is. He seems to have it.
Sure. I mean, you're talking about 11-10. You're over 500 in the Big 12 after this weekend. They've had, a decent amount of success already in the Big 12 against some formidable opponents. When you're looking at, that TCU sweep is still probably the biggest series of the season. But they move up now to sixth place here in the Big 12, and they do have people currently predicting them to make the tournament at the end of the season. And that's really where you want to be, is in the conversation right now as you're in your inaugural season.
Yeah. I mean, they're 7-2 in Big 12 play at home. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn good. 4-8 on the road. Like I said, two of those 4 wins coming this weekend against UCF. So trending in the right direction. I especially, and the pitching has really, like, at home, the pitching has been good. On the road, the pitching has struggled. The bats have been outstanding pretty much all season long. So impressive. I mean, we didn't know really what to expect from this team. They're young in a lot of places, but they're battling, and they're playing, or it appears that they are playing some of their best ball as we hit kind of the stretch run of the season. So
yeah, they outscored UCF 19-11. When we were talking about maybe the Achilles heel on this team was the pitching. As long as you're scoring a ton of runs like that, it doesn't really matter what your pitching's doing.
Well, I mean, if you score 19 and you give up 24, but they got a balanced effort this week for sure. And they've risen up a little bit, Aaron. I think coming into the weekend, they had in Big 12 play, they had the lowest ERA, and now they are ahead of Baylor and BYU. So doing a really good job.
Well, they do have a game coming up on Tuesday at Ohio State. And then they will be back home where they've been very successful, as you've been talking about, against West Virginia this weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's a big one. As you can see, West Virginia tied for second in the conference standings at 14-7 in Big 12 play. So a chance to kind of make another little statement here in Big 12 play coming up this weekend. Biggest news on the football side, Jauan Briggs gets drafted in the 6th round. Unfortunately, if you're a Bengals fan, you're going to get to see him quite a bit as he heads to the Cleveland Browns. I think that is ultimately, that is a really good defense. That is probably an excellent fit for him. They tend to like to be very aggressive along their front four. They like to really get after it, get after the quarterback up front, and play kind of up the field, which is a strength of Jauan's. So I think he ended up, even though to the dismay of Bengals fans, I know that, you know, even Dave was like, hey, this is like, I don't often say that I think the Bengals should focus on taking Bearcats, but this is a guy that I think could help. And it's unfortunate to see him go to the Browns from a UC fan perspective, but from a Jauan Briggs fan perspective, I think it's a really good fit.
Look, we found out from, I believe it was the Cleveland Browns put it out there, that when you get an opportunity, if you send a really nice thank you note, you probably bolster your situation a little bit more than where you may have gone. And what do we know about Jauan Briggs? It's no one that has known who Jauan Briggs is surprised that he sent a really nice thank you note. The
Right.
the coach who called him said that it was in his entire NFL coaching career, he's never received as nice a thank you note as he got from Jauan Briggs. And again, I can't say we've gushed about Jauan Briggs now for years, and no one is surprised that he sent a really nice thank you note.
I said this on Twitter yesterday, and I firmly believe it. If Jauan Briggs sticks in the league, and I think there's a pretty good chance, character, size, strength, ability, that he's going to hang around in the league for a while, he can be one of those guys that wins NFL Man of the Year.
Without question.
He is going to do great things for the community, for the people around him. People are going to be drawn to him because of who he is, the more that they get to know him. So I can't. We've talked a lot about, look, there's been a lot of great guys that have come through this program. Maybe none of them as good of a human. Jauan Briggs, Gary Clark, like 1-2. Like they're right there at the top. And
that's fair.
That man's already got 3 kids. He gets a nice big signing bonus and $1 million a year. The guy's got to buy diapers, man. He's got 3 kids that are like toddler and below.
I mean, they're not cheap, I promise.
You think he ever sings the national anthem before a game?
Whatever Jauan Briggs does the rest of his life, I will not be surprised, because he will find himself in situations simply because of who he is. So no, I wouldn't be surprised if he sings a national anthem at a Cleveland Indians game, or
or a
Cavs game. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Or just
least.
With a microphone in full
gear
uniform before a Browns game. Oh, say, like you're like, oh yeah, it's Jauan. Makes sense.
The Bearcats of the North at this point. My goodness, North Campus is up in Cleveland. What are we doing?
They love their late round Bearcats.
I guess.
Love their late round Bearcats. What else do we get to? Football commitment this evening, and this is one. From what I know, the staff is very excited about this one. Xavier, well, he goes by Xavier, right? That's how you say it.
Sure.
Xavier. That's what we're gonna call him. Yeah, Xavier. That's what we're gonna call him, whether it's right or not. Transfer from Maine, Xavier Lozwicki. 6'6", 300 pounds. Here's the thing that's important about this one. 3 years of eligibility remaining. So he has the ability, and I think he will come in and compete for that right tackle spot at higher ground and into the season. But more importantly, they need some young, big bodies on the outside. And this is a guy that played and started a little bit for Maine this year. I know the staff, when you look at USC was in on him, the one in Los Angeles, the good one. Miami of Florida was in on him, not the one in Oxford, the one in Miami. Had a bunch of high major offers and interest as he entered the portal. This one, if you're the Bearcats, you feel pretty good about your recruiting department that they were able to go out and get this one done. And that was one of, what did we tell you guys going into the spring portal season? Get as many talented bodies at the point of attack as you can find. And Lozwicki kind of gives them that.
Well, one thing I know about these Cincinnati Bearcats is with transfer offensive linemen, they've been pretty good over the course of the last several seasons. When you look at guys that are even currently in the mix, Philip Wilder, D'Artagnan Tinsley, Buford. So, I mean, these guys have all certainly been in the mix, and I don't expect this to be any exception. That said, what do we talk about every year? If you're going to go out into the portal and get somebody, go get an offensive lineman, and they're not easy to get.
Especially young, talented offensive linemen that have a little playing time experience. So go get all of those.
I am confident in the staff that they know what they're doing as far as going out and finding a transfer offensive lineman to begin with. And I would think that a guy who has 3 years of experience, you're probably going to see him getting some PT, if not this season. As I assume pencil him in for next year.
Yeah. Talking to some people tonight, it's funny. I literally was just getting home from volleyball as the commitment happened. Like I hadn't even booted up my home office yet as the commitment came. So I was sending out some texts and kind of gathering some information. I do think there's even a belief that if they need him this year at guard, he could help them out at guard if they need some additional depth there as well. So right tackle, either guard spot. I think they feel really good about being able to get this one in the fold. So, that's it's a key piece. I think they've got their eyes set on a couple other transfer portal targets that they have had in recently. Those we've talked about this, that there is a premium on keeping that information as far away from public until they can't anymore. And by premium, I mean like tens and potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line to keep these things as quiet as you can keep them so that you don't get into bidding wars. Because
makes sense.
Dave and I talked about this, Aaron. The spring portal has not been what some advertised. It has not been this feeding frenzy of high-end guys. It has been a from the outside looking in, it has been a scout-centric environment where having the right evaluation is going to pay off. Does Cincinnati have that? I don't know yet. But I know they're in that game. That's the business that this recruiting department is in, is scouting better than you. So we'll see. I think that's an interesting one, and I think there's still potentially, some more good news to come on the football recruiting front from some of the activity over the past week. So we'll keep an eye on that. Finally, Sean Stewart, Duke big man, visited Cincinnati Friday, went to Ohio State yesterday. From making some calls today, it sounds like he will visit Miami of Florida starting Tuesday, Georgetown after that, and then potentially the team that you need to keep an eye on more than anyone that is making a late push is Georgia Tech. Obviously, Sean Stewart's dad played in the NBA right around the same time as Damon Stoudemire played in the NBA. Those guys know each other. Georgia Tech has been making a push. They just lost to the NBA. They're really talented. Big man that Cincinnati fans, if you remember, it was his first game of the season when Cincinnati played Georgia Tech this year. He was really, really good. Went to the NBA. They have time available, and they have a kind of Damon Stoudemire is kind of a legendary name at the head of that program.
Mighty Mouse.
So if there's a team that could be like a sleeper in this thing, Georgia Tech, could maybe surprise everybody in this one. So from everything I heard, the visit went exceptionally well. I know the Stewart family has been very high on Cincinnati and Wes Miller. As you saw on Instagram Live, Sean Stewart and Jizzle James are very close. Wes has done everything he can, and his staff has done everything they can to put themselves in a good position. But you're talking about a 5-star transfer. Like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. And if you're for the faint of heart, if you want to throw in the towel, these type of recruitments aren't for you. Because these kids are they're going to make informed decisions. They're going to take their visits. They're going to talk to the coaches. They're going to see everything that is out there on their plate to make an informed, intelligent decision for what they're looking for. And that's what the Stewart family is doing right now. So, hopefully, from my understanding, this is in an attempt to get this process to the finish line and take the visits, have all the information, and then figure it out, and decide where the best fit is. I think Cincinnati's still in a good place. Do I think they're first? I don't know. There's 5 teams involved. It's hard to, pinpoint, that team's in first. Because if you're trying to do that, you're guessing. You don't actually know. But I do think they made a great.
You still have
you got
three more visits.
Two, maybe 3 visits left. If you're saying you're guessing. Because they don't know. That's what I love about this business, is when you get in these situations where the family is still gathering information, the kid is still gathering information, and there are people out there. And this hasn't happened with Sean, so I'm not saying that it is. But like the process is still playing out, and people are like, "Oh, I know." No, you don't. Stop it. But all right. That's a Sunday night. I am about to fall asleep while we're doing this podcast. So I'm going to go to bed. That's a nightcap. We'll see you for the BBP tomorrow night. Thanks to Galactic Fried Chicken. Brought to you, as always, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.